I don't have to worry about what the conversation is because I understand what's behind the decision, you know? Hey, welcome to Ascend the Hill with Jeremy Austill. I'm Jonathan. This is Pastor Jeremy. Happy today.
Yes, yes. It is Wednesday. We're
is
recording
Wednesday.
on a Wednesday. The podcast will start hitting your various streaming apps a day later, probably a day or two later now going forward, and we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah.
Bottom line is right now, it's freezing cold outside. It was 10 degrees when I was driving to work.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
how you feel about that?
My car, I don't know how your car does in the cold, but in the summer, one turn starts up fine.
Yeah?
Multiple times because of the teens and the single digit temperatures. It takes a little bit longer and it
Oh.
makes me a little worried.
Oh, no. You need to get that battery checked, big dog.
I know. I'm not. I don't want to.
You need to get that joker
I
checked
don't want-
before
oh,
you're
man.
at. We've had scenarios where we're at a store somewhere and car won't crank, and then you go through the whole whirlwind of we're all here.
No way.
It's not like I'm at home and can come pick Michelle up. We're all here. How do we proceed from here? Oh, we got to find jumper cables. Somebody's got to be willing to boost us also. You need to get that
Yep.
checked.
Yeah, we just had my wife's changed, and that's no fun.
No, it just
Yeah.
any expense like that is just a flat out nuisance.
Yeah, you're like, come on.
We had to put new tires on Michelle's car. I literally on a Sunday said, I hate tires.
Yeah.
I remember saying it. I cannot remember the full context. And within a couple of days, we were putting all new tires on her
Oh
car.
my goodness.
And it was just like, I cannot believe. They did give us one free tire of the 4 because they had done some work on it and didn't succeed or whatever. So they gave us one free. So we only had to pay for 3, but
Oh my
it's
gosh.
ridiculous. Anyway.
Well, we're going to start off with a few Would You Rathers here real quick. These are all random, so don't at me or Pastor
Okay.
Jeremy. They're just
Okay.
going to be random,
Oh,
but
wow. Here
they'll
we
be
go.
fun. A good random, I hope. But first one, would you rather win $25,000
Okay.
or your best friend win $100,000?
That's tough. I mean, because I wouldn't expect my friend to share it with me.
Yeah.
Right. Man, I mean, I know the like pastoral answer I'm supposed to give. I know the, good human, good Christian answer I'm supposed to give. I should say, I hope my friend wins $100,000.
Yeah.
Now, circumstantially, if I knew they really needed it, if I knew, man, there's a scenario where they were going to be able to use that to do X, Y, Z. And for me, receiving the 25 would just be, hey, it's going in the bank, and it just kind of giving us more cushion. I do think I would say, hey, $100,000 for them because if there was clear, but if it's just kind of general, they don't have some big dream hanging in the balance. They don't have some problem they need to throw the money at, then give me the $25,000.
Yeah.
God bless.
Get some new tires with that and a new battery. And
I mean, you see how politically I answered that, right?
Yeah.
Like right down the middle. I'd give it to them if this, but I mean, if they get 100 and they're just going to put it in their bank account, God, that's great.
Yeah.
But like, I can put 25 in
Yeah.
mine.
My gosh.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee there's Cornerstoners right now going, I can't believe my pastor would take that money.
Yeah. I can't believe
sorry.
you wouldn't give that to
Hey,
someone
listen,
else.
I got a 15-year-old in my house now. He turned 15 today. I'm thinking about college. I'm thinking, we're going to work on an automobile in the next year.
Oh,
so
man.
I just got a lot going. No, I'm good.
All right. Would you rather have a mullet for a year or be bald for 6 months, no wigs?
Oh, give me a mullet.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
somewhat fashionable, right?
It's back.
I mean,
For better or worse, depending on who you are.
I think probably a year or so ago, I was close to a mullet. Now, there's various types of mullet. There's a fashion mullet. My son has one right now, and it looks really cool. It's kind of got the side shaved, and it's long and thick in the back, and it's his top. He's pretty good bit of hair. Now, if it's like Joe Dirt mullet, if it's like really short on top and then just long hanging down
With the weird bangs, like
Yeah.
the straight cut bangs
Oh, yeah.
around.
So I mean, if I have control of the type of mullet, then all day long mullet over being bald. And I mean, no offense. I mean, like some dudes bald, like they look incredible. Like Pastor Herb, his bald head is impeccable. Like it's well shaped,
Yeah.
it doesn't have a bunch of dents. I'm scared of what mine would look like. I don't know. I've never shaved it. I am scared. It's like I'm probably oblong. I
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
got
yeah.
ridges and ruts through there.
I have a weird like point or something. I don't
There's no doubt.
know.
There's no doubt. The Lord gave me this hair to cover up, whatever's going on that cranium of mine. So,
um, okay. So next one, would you rather? We'll do two more. Would you rather have a photographic memory or an IQ of 200?
wow. Man, that's tough because you would think. I think I would say photographic memory.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in the end that might be more useful
Mm-hmm.
than having this crazy IQ that might make you socially a little not as adept,
Yeah.
possibly. I don't know that. I mean, there's probably geniuses that are incredible socially, but sometimes like high intelligence, you're kind of in your own world. You see
Yeah.
things from your own filter, and but that's pretty presumptuous of me to say. I don't know that for sure because obviously I don't have a 200 IQ. So photographic memory feels a little more relatable, like the ability to like read the Bible, see it, and boom, there it is. That feels pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
For instance, my sermon. Like I wrote out my sermon. Done all the work. If I had a photographic memory, and I've got a pretty good memory, I'm pretty good at being. I mean, a lot of while I'm preaching, it's like I can see my page while I'm looking at the crowd. It's kind of a whatever. I got a good memory, but not a photographic memory. I think it would help me in preaching. All right, I've seen it. I don't have to look at my notes. So I think I would go with that. I mean, it's hard for me to contemplate what a 200 IQ would be like.
I know.
I mean, what was Einstein's IQ, right? I mean,
I have no idea.
I mean, he did the theory of relativity that none of us have a clue what that means or what he was even talking about, and he had wild hair.
Yeah.
So I think my whole idea of 200 IQ and social challenges is
Einstein.
the picture of Einstein we've seen, and E equals MC squared, which none of us have a clue what it is. So so it's like I don't want to be that. I don't care how brilliant you are. So put me over here with I just remember everything. That'd be good.
Well, the last one then is going to be in the same is basically a build off of that. Would you rather be the funniest person in a room or the smartest person in a room?
Smartest.
Yep.
Period.
Okay, there you go.
No doubt. And I've told the congregation over and over again, I'm not funny. I don't see myself as funny.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think I have a good sense of humor. Like I like to laugh. I enjoy, light interaction.
Mm-hmm.
But being funny, what is that?
Funny. Oh my goodness.
Being funny is not high value for me.
Right.
I mean, if it's high value for you, that's okay. That's great. We're all wired differently.
Yeah.
And so, it's not high value for me. Being the smartest person in the room. Now, there's a caveat to that. If you're the smartest person in the room, there's something to be said for you need to go find another room.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for like you can be the smartest person in the room and not that smart.
Yeah.
If we're getting into the semantics of the question, but if you're just speaking, you're either very intelligent or very funny. I'm picking very intelligent because I think that would serve me better in life. I think that would help me to a greater extent than being funny. But I mean, not to mention, there are people that have made careers out of being funny. Mm-hmm. I have friends that are hilarious, and it has served them very well. It gets them in doors that I'd have never got in. It breaks open people's hearts that I could never break open. So there's a tremendous value in it, but I would pick smart.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time for Would You Rather we have today, but we had a good weekend.
We did. It was one other, we had another weather event.
We did. Surprising one.
My mind was blown Sunday. We made the video last week saying there's no snow in the forecast.
Because there wasn't.
And I know, right? And then I wake up and there's a little bit of snow on my truck and I'm like, oh, that's weird. But I thought it just did a little something at night. No big deal. I get to church because we all, you pulled up about the same time we did. We get to church super early.
Yeah.
Everything's fine. No big deal. I look out my window after working on my sermon a little bit, just kind of going through my notes, and it's snowing, and there's snow on the parking lot.
Yep.
First off, I was thinking, man, we salted this a week or two ago, and there's still salt everywhere on this because it hasn't rained.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking there shouldn't be anything sticking to this parking lot. But I just thought, my gosh, here we are.
Yeah.
And we live in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you're from Michigan or Ohio or Maine or whatever, you're superior to all of us Southerners when it comes to the weather. We get it. You're superior. This ain't snow. Oh, y'all don't know what you're doing. You can't drive. I get all of that. Hey, I get it. You're superior. But I've lived in Tennessee the bulk of my life. I'm a Tennessean. I know Tennesseans.
Yeah.
And, my immediate thought was, man, people are not going to feel comfortable getting out in this.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it's a bore to be true. But my mindset now with that is, like, we're doing church.
Yeah.
And it was way too late to recalibrate anyway.
Yeah.
That on Sunday. And we've got online. It's the reason we got online.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's way better for people to be in person. I think church is an in-person experience.
Yeah.
Church is meant to be done in the company of people. And so online church is only a supplement when you can't get in the house.
Yeah.
That's the way I view it. But in this particular instance, in January, when we're dealing with weather, I'm really glad we have it, and I'm glad it can bless our people. And, our Pastor Danny, who watches those kind of numbers on a Sunday, noticed, hey, our watcher, it's so good. The people are getting engaged. But I'll be glad when we have a Sunday with no snow, but somebody told me, well, it looks like it might snow this Sunday. And I'm just like, no, surely not. So anyway, that's that. Good weekend. We were going to talk about the message. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But I'm going to kind of commandeer. I'm going to kind of take over the hosting aspect of this podcast today because the podcast is going to change. Ascend the Hill is going to change some in the coming days and weeks because Jonathan has gone through a change.
Yeah.
Now, a good change. You say that these days is kind of a loaded statement. but Jonathan and I had a conversation in December about a ministry opportunity that came his way.
Yeah.
That was right in the sweet spot of some dreams that he and Jordan have. And so it was a great conversation. And the result is that now Jonathan is no longer on our day-to-day staff.
Yeah.
Jonathan is now a contract worker for us. This is Wednesday that we're recording. He's here pretty much all day Wednesday, helping with some key anchor points of our media production, creative presentation. But now he is devoted to another opportunity. And I just, for those that listen, they're used to your voice. They're used to you interviewing.
Yeah.
And you'll still be recording the podcast and you'll sit in that chair some. But we're going to start bringing in different pastors to have different types of conversation as we move forward. But I just wanted to talk with you today.
Yeah.
So for those that did not know, because we haven't made a big public announcement about it because Jonathan and Jordan are still here. They still live here. He's still helping us a ton. And so it's kind of like, we're not sending them off, but for us in the day-to-day of the church, it's been we're 2 days in and we're certainly trying to learn a new way of exercising our muscles, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I just would love for you to tell everybody the opportunity, just kind of connect it to the dream a little. People listen to you all the time and you ask me questions.
Yeah.
And you just kind of sit there and listen to me go on long diatribes. I just thought it'd be good for them to hear from you.
Yeah, of course. Well, in December, met with Pastor Jeremy, and what had come our way was my wife and I on the side, I'm going to go back in time and then come to the present where we're at now. So in 2020, my wife and I were engaged at the time. And with all the chaos of 2020, and I was actually at a previous job too at this point in time.
So you weren't working here in 2020?
I was not,
okay.
No. I was at a previous job, and I enjoyed that job. I really did. But the chaos of 2020 and all that was, whether it was COVID or the riots or anything, there was a lot of things on my heart at that point because at that point, I was turning 28 that year and get to the age of like, Lord, I feel like I can do a lot of things for other people, and I can help them. I feel like I'm decent at coming alongside someone and helping them accomplish their dream or
And let
doing
me just
things.
pause and say, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to add, I might jump in with little
Yeah.
nuggets, and one of them is Jonathan is a beast in productivity. Like his checklist is lengthy, and I am amazed over and over again how he produces, how he checks the boxes,
Mm.
gets stuff done. He is. I heard Stephen Furtick say years ago, every team needs a GCD pastor,
Hmm.
a get crap done pastor.
Yeah.
And like I just feel like that is, and I mean he said it in a really crap. I would probably not say crap from the pulpit.
Right.
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But so that's that. Sorry
Yeah.
to interrupted.
No, you're good.
I just want everybody to understand
Yeah.
the like how good a job you've done.
I appreciate that. And yeah, when we were in that season, it was kind of like, Lord, what can we like? You've given us gifts and talents. There's been a lot of people that have invested in me along the way, whether it's in college or people I've met, and you almost feel like a sense of duty of like, there's been such an investment in me, people pouring into me. I can't just take that and sit around and just kind of do, I can't just coast on it.
Well, and you have your
Yeah.
own dreams. You kind
Right.
of were going that way of like, I can help people,
Mm-hmm.
but you have some personal dreams in there.
Yeah, yeah, and the dream that came out of that was we always loved content creation, but specifically things that have always been on my heart is cartoons. I watch cartoons. I mean, I'm a grown man, but I'll watch if it's a good cartoon. I'll
Favorite
watch it. I'll
cartoon
enjoy it.
right now?
It's called Regular Show, so it's a pretty good. I mean, if you're a parent at home, this is a teenage boy cartoon. It's not a kid's cartoon.
Okay. Okay.
Just because there's just like any cartoon, there's gonna be innuendos, things like that.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm not recommending that for the mass of
I should have
kids out
asked.
there.
I put
No,
you
it's
on
all
the
good.
spot.
No, it's all
I
good.
thought you was gonna say like Tom
It's not
and
like
Jerry.
it's not a
or-
bad. No, it's not a bad show. Actually, for a kids show, I love Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo, I love.
Okay.
I just love the premise of the mystery. But we were looking at like what can we do, and I'd already had ideas that I had written, scripts that I had written, ideas, but I just really didn't know how to go about tackling those. And that's when through all that season, we came to the idea of like, well, what if we tried to do our own thing? What if we
Yeah.
tried to do something like that? And one of the things that we didn't like was kind of hard was like we were looking for people who had done that kind of thing
Yeah.
and gone before us that were still doing it or like being an influencer in that world. If we didn't see them, there's not a lot of them out there
Yeah.
when it comes to Christian kids content creators that we either knew growing up that influenced us.
Yeah.
There are two. We don't watch one of them. It's the guy who made VeggieTales. We don't really follow him. But another guy is a Christian creator. He made the show called The Fairly Odd Parents. Big inspiration to me, but the shows that he made I really enjoyed. And I found out he was a Christian. He follows the Lord. He loves Christ. And I was like, okay, so it's possible. That kind of thing. So you take all that, bundle it. We put it to the side, just worked on it in the evenings when we could.
Yeah.
Working on the dream in the evenings and trying to figure out like, well, how is this going to work? Because it was a new territory. I knew producing, I knew directing, all that kind of stuff, but I didn't know too much about like animation in the traditional sense. I knew how to animate things, but not in the traditional sense. So we worked on that for a couple of years, and then in 2022, we felt like it was the time to at least put out to the world that, hey, me and my wife are working on something.
Yeah.
And it's called Lighttunes. Lighttunes Animation is what we're working on. Lighttunesanimation.com if you want to check it out. It's on YouTube. But we initiated that process of putting it out there because by putting it out there to the world, it creates a sense of accountability.
Yes.
I put it out there. I need to make good on it. Something that we feel strongly about. And over the past few years, we've just been doing it on the side, just trying to, figure out like, well, what does it look like? What does it mean? We just enjoy making stuff. It's fun. And so we were doing that for a while. And then in the fall, like last fall, towards the end of the year, actually, we get reached out to by a church who's trying to do animated kids Bible curriculum. And they had seen some of the stuff we'd done. We had a mutual connection. And so because of what they had seen that we had been doing and everything that that they're hoping to do, we had an initial meet and greet. and just trying to figure out if what they were wanting was feasible or anything like that. And that progressed into where we're at now. And what we're doing now is stepping into a season of helping them produce and create kids animated Bible curriculum.
Yeah.
And the idea is to do something where kids who are watching and doing it in a creative way where kids can learn Bible stories, but it be a fun and engaging thing for kids to do that's different than what they've seen before.
Yeah.
Rather than just regurgitating or like reanimating the story, we're working with them to figure out the best way to do it. That's engaging kids is new, something different, a little bit fresh. So
Yeah.
that's been the progression, has been from that birth of the concept and the idea in 2020 to now, now 5 years later almost.
And you're getting to do that for a
Yeah.
living.
Yeah, which is wild. Like it still hasn't fully set in, but it's one of those things of like when you have something that is on your heart and you don't know what to do with it, like you always wonder what you're like. You have all the pieces.
Yeah.
You don't know how it fits together.
Yeah.
You have all the pieces. You don't know how the puzzle is supposed to look, and the puzzle is still getting put together. But we're thankful for this step because it's been something that's been important to us to be able to do, and to do things on because what this allows us to do as well is still work on show ideas that we have.
Yeah.
And work on those together and write them together. And so, it is one of those. When we realized this was probably going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
And I knew the other conversations that were coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. With me.
Yeah, with
And-
you,
and
with
our
everyone
team.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah. We like there was a moment of like, you're always wondering like, okay, is this the Lord? I think it's the Lord. And there was a few statements that I was mulling over my head, and it was like, well, what more would the Lord need to do for me?
Yeah.
For me to take a step of faith like that.
Right.
Like, would he need to give me a house? I have a house.
Yeah.
Would he need to give me a wife? I have a wife. Would he need to give me a dog? Would he need to provide for me to have a salary, to have food, these things? He has provided for me those things. Like, what more would the Lord have to do for me to take one little step towards him? Would he
Yeah.
need to die for me?
Yeah.
He's already done that.
Yeah.
So it's like, when I was thinking of ways of like, well, this might be uncomfortable, this might be this might be that. It's like, has he not done enough for me that it requires of me, necessitates of me a decision or an act of faith to step out and to say, no, you've done more than enough. The least I could do is just take a little step of faith and trust that you're going to take care of us. So
One of the things you said in our conversation, you're like, hey, I'm not trying to use your words against you.
yeah,
But so share that, because I thought it was,
What
you just never know what the Lord's doing and people around you while you're
Yeah.
up there talking. So
in the same way that what I just said was also birthed out of the sermons that we did towards the end of November. I think one of them was prompted. Like in my mind, I know that these conversations are being had, and then you're talking about being prompted of the Lord, and then you had a few other sermons. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but you're talking about faith, taking steps of faith, trusting the Lord, and going after things. And it was like, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to, are we
Yeah.
supposed to just take that and be like, well, yeah, that's cool, but really our situation is this? Or are we supposed to be like, well, actually, yeah, I think that's like helping us process through the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like just helping us process through with the word, the opportunity. And so, yeah, I literally said when we met, I was like joking, like not to use the words against you, but you've been preaching this stuff and it's been really affecting us and
Yeah.
helping us process through these decisions, I think in the right way, without like making sure that is the right thing, but also not being hesitant.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, you were talking about us meeting, and you mentioned knowing these types of conversations
mhm.
are to be had. Like, you're going to have this conversation with me. So how did you feel going into that?
Yeah.
I just kind of for a moment want to give anybody that's listening just a little bit of a eavesdrop in, because in church world, I mean, the transitions happen.
Yeah.
Staff members change, and that's just kind of part of it. Just like in the work world, people change employment.
Yeah.
And at times it can be uncomfortable. At times, not everybody's in agreement with the decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived that out, and that's probably been the hardest, most stressful part of my job, in 2
Yeah.
years plus, is working through some of those staff changes, staff transitions. But my objective has always been to be truthful about how it happened,
Mm-hmm.
how it came about, so that there's never this undercurrent of, for the body, like, am I hearing what's true?
Yeah.
Like, am I being told the truth, or am I being kind of fed a certain type of messaging? And so, I mean, I've had multiple times I've had to stand in front of the church and say, hey, this is a change. It's
Yeah.
not fun. This is not where we are, not where we don't want to do this, but this is kind of what needs to be done. This is how we need to proceed. And here's another shift, another change, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a different kind. And so, I don't know, just how you felt going in. Like, I'll speak to it as well. You'd said, hey, I want to talk to you about some stuff,
Yeah.
cartoon stuff or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't flinch. I didn't think a whole lot of it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but go ahead.
Well, I mean, there was a degree of nervousness, but like leading into it. But once I started talking, like I was fine. Like the nervousness kind of went away pretty quickly, only because, and this has happened before, like when I've made like a change or a transition in previous eras.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like usually if I'm doing something that I really do think that is something that I'm being prompted to do or anything like that, the nerves kind of dissipate
Yeah.
because I understand that the confidence of my decision making is not in me just flying by the seat of my pants.
Right.
The confidence of my decision making is like, no, we prayed through this. My wife and I prayed through this. We've looked at it from different angles, and it's like, no, this is something we need to make happen.
Yeah.
So it's more like you're walking in focused and determined of like, I understand what the call is, and so I'm confident in what the call is. I don't have to be confident in myself, because if I was confident in myself, it would probably be a nervous wreck the whole time.
Yeah.
But because confidence in what the call was, that's where I think when you're talking about dealing with that, it's like I don't have to worry about what the conversation is because I understand what's behind the decision,
And the reason I'm asking is because it was a necessary but somewhat uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
But you could not proceed
right
into your future until you were willing to have that necessary uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And I say that over, the decisions I make. I say that for anybody listening. Oftentimes, the thing that God has for you is on the other side of the necessary but uncomfortable conversation, or the necessary but uncomfortable decision. You have to, it's almost like that is a rite of passage. It's almost like that is a gate that you're required to go through to get to where God is calling you. For me, I heard it, and, I go through layers of processing, and, but I guess my framework for thinking when it comes to staff, and it's partly because I was a staff person for so long, is I don't own the staff.
Mm-hmm.
They belong to the Lord.
Yeah.
So I don't own them. You're an adult, and you've got a call and a plan for your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have ownership of that.
Yeah.
God just entrusts me to steward however long you're a part of this,
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it's forever, but that's what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
And then simultaneously, nobody on this staff, myself included, owns the position we're in.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord does, the church does.
Right.
And so it takes a whole lot of entitlement and potential for offense out of the way with that framework of not having ownership that you weren't really authorized to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I own my responsibility to you spiritually. I own my responsibility to you as a pastor. And my responsibility to you is I want to celebrate and affirm and encourage if you're pursuing something that God put in your heart.
Yeah.
And within that is the peace of knowing God's got his church.
Mm-hmm.
God knows who's supposed to be where. And I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Our challenge has been, okay, Jonathan, help us figure out,
Yeah.
How we move forward, because you were so integral in so many pieces of what's happening here. Can you help us figure out how to um, distribute responsibility
Mhm.
so that we keep functioning? And you've been an unbelievable help. And
Mm.
part of that is because y'all aren't moving,
Right.
I mean, at least for the
Yeah.
foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So speak to that.
Yeah, well, and I do want to say, like, thanks to Pastor Jeremy's for everyone who, like, because on the end of that conversation, of course, I didn't know what was going through your mind, but at the same time, you were very encouraging and very upbeat about it and positive, and so I really appreciate that because I think that also lent it to be not being like my nerves went away, but then more nerves could have come back with
Yeah.
response, and so I appreciated that it was a very healthy dialogue. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I really appreciated that and being, um, like even on the post side of working through, um, how best to proceed and making sure. And so yeah, I think the other side of the equation is like, well, new job, okay, Jonathan, you're moving. It's like no, actually, because of the way this is working out, we're actually be remote working on this. And what was really important to us, even in taking the job, because I'm about to have a kid,
Yep.
um,
Let's
my
go.
baby boy in April, right around Easter. So, hey, and the important thing to us was we don't want to move away from family. We don't want to move away from community, which is
Yeah.
church. Like our whole life is at the church,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. And so we didn't want to lose those things just to chase, like just to go after something. If the Lord really meant, like He would have made it very clear for us to move, but it didn't seem like that was the right call for us right now.
Yeah.
And so it was very intentional that we, if it worked out, then it needed to work out where we could stay where we're at
Yeah.
for the foreseeable future until the Lord has a different plan. But like that worked out. So we're actually be able to stay here, not just in Tennessee, but at our house. We'll be able to be close to family. We're like 10 minutes from grandparents, and still be here at the church
Yeah.
and still serve and help with media team and everything like that. Because
Yeah.
I really care about the media team. If you made it this far in the podcast, I really love the media team and
Yeah.
everyone who knocks it out each and every week, shows up and volunteers. And like, I enjoy being a part of that. And there are just some things that I don't, if the Lord isn't asking us to let go of them, I don't want to just throw it away
Yeah.
for, for an ambition,
Yeah.
and so I think that there is a balance between doing that if you have the luxury. And thankfully, the Lord has allowed us the opportunity to have both and to do both right now. And so I'm just thankful for that, thankful to you for that. And I'm thankful that we're able to stay. We're not going anywhere. And I want to drive that home because I
Yeah.
know that with change, the immediate implication is like, oh, they're moving now. It's like, no,
Yeah.
actually, we'll be here. And it's a Wednesday when we're recording this. I'll be directing tonight's
Yeah.
broadcast, the recording for the cameras. I'll be here for Sunday. So that excites me, is that we get to
Yeah.
stay plugged in.
Well, and it's one of the things that came from 2020 is working remotely became more normalized,
Yeah.
and that has presented you the opportunity to do this work from here, from your home.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Well, I'll conclude this way. Sunday we talked about Isaiah's vision. I saw the Lord
Mm-hmm.
seated on the throne, high and lifted up. Right.
Yeah.
The word Lord is Adonai. He's master,
Mm-hmm.
which means I'm submitted to His will and His plan, and I say yes to where He's leading,
Right.
which is very much what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
He is within the word, or the name Adonai is sovereign and in control,
Mm-hmm.
which on my end, I hear as it's my responsibility to affirm someone submitting to the Lord as their master
Mm-hmm.
and doing what they simultaneously. It is my responsibility to live in the peace of God as in control,
Mm-hmm.
and God has the unbelievable capacity of leading you one direction
Yeah.
and caring deeply about where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
and caring deeply about the work that He knows needs to be done here. And He's just big enough, and He's capable of handling all of that, and all of that happening simultaneously. Sometimes I think we get so set on a way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard for us to perceive a different way
Yeah.
for something to be done or for God to work in our lives. Or in this, this as an example, we get so set on a person, like it has to be this person, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
dependent on them, and where I'm trying to go is dependent on that. that we create a lot of stress and a lot of angst for ourselves,
Yeah.
or we'll hold ourselves short because we just don't have a right understanding of Him as our master and Him as sovereign.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage anybody that's listening. If the Lord's prompted you, my prayer as your pastor is that the Lord gives you the strength, the power of His Spirit to accomplish what God has prompted you to do. And I want to encourage you to allow Him to be the master of your life to the degree that you'll say yes to Him and you'll follow Him. Maybe at times, the thing that holds us back most is our comfort with our present life. And it's the comfort of our present circumstance. I know this. I'm comfortable with it. It's kind of working,
Yeah.
I kind of got it under control. A lot of times that will keep us from progress because we want to stay. I mean, I'm similar. Like, I want to stay with what's comfortable, but a lot of times it is putting yourself in the place of discomfort that you find great progress in the things of God. And we love Jonathan. We love Jordan. We love baby boy that is to come.
Hey,
remind me of the name.
Jalen.
We love Jalen Utley.
Yeah.
And I'm so privileged we're going to get to dedicate him, and we're going to get to watch him grow up however long the Lord wills it.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you personally. And just for those, that are listening, you'll hear Jonathan, you'll see Jonathan periodically. We're just going to kind of bring some other pastors and different people in the seat too. I'll be doing the interviewing sometimes, just kind of asking questions. So we love you. Do you want to end us, because you're so good at saying all the things at the end?
Oh, sure. Well, if you have if anything that was said today ministered to you, or maybe you're just checking us out for the first time, you need to make sure that you're here in person. Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m., Sundays, 8:30 a.m., 10:30 a.m., or connect with us on the church website, cornerstonenashville.org. It's actually very easy to connect with us through the website. So just fill out any of the information, connect with us. We're here for you. The church is here for you. And like we even talked about a little bit, was the importance of church community, so that you can grow in your walk with the Lord, so that you can learn how to take steps of faith. That's integral to your walk of faith.
Yes.
So connect with us, get rooted in a church family, and watch how the Lord does a work in your life. And we'll see you on the next podcast.